So Peter, Andrew, James, and John, and soon 8 more young men, would leave their lives behind to spend every waking moment with Jesus and with each other. They would study the Jewish scriptures together and learn from Jesus his interpretation of what God was saying and why God was saying it. But here's the great danger for us 2,000 years later. It's dangerous to think of Jesus like a professor who sits in a classroom all day with his students just passing on knowledge. Although it's true, Jesus likely spent a lot of time with his 12 disciples poring over the scriptures and helping them to learn to interpret it correctly. And it's also true that when Jesus taught to large crowds for days on end, or when he would teach in a new synagogue each week, he would pull his 12 disciples aside and allow them to ask deeper questions. And he'd give them special insight. And he's willing to do the same for you. Jesus said, "For everyone who asks, receives. Everyone who seeks will find. And to everyone who knocks, the door will be open." But don't miss this. It wasn't just the words that Jesus said that they learned from. It was the things that he did that truly taught them the scriptures. It was the time spent traveling from synagogue to synagogue that provided teachable moments. It was the way he treated the crowds of people who came from all over to hear him teach that showed them how to practice what he preached. And it was the way he refuted the attacks of the religious elite that showed them a different way. And most importantly, it was the times when Jesus sent out his disciples to do the same things that they watched him do on the daily. And so it's dangerous for us to think that being a disciple of Jesus is simply to know about Jesus. Let me say that again. It's dangerous for us to think that being a disciple of Jesus is just to know a lot about Jesus and the Bible. That could lead us to becoming overeducated but underdeveloped spiritually. That could lead us to patting ourselves on the back for knowing more, even if we're obeying less. We can get so busy with Bible studies that we don't have time to serve our neighbor. We can get so caught up in arguments about doctrine, but not speak up for the oppressed and fight for justice. It's possible to know almost everything about Jesus, but never lead anyone to Jesus. If our only focus is on learning about the Bible, we're in danger of becoming cultural Christians. Christians by name, but not by deed. It's dangerous for us to think that being a disciple of Jesus is simply about transferring knowledge rather than transforming our lives. If we just aim to know about Jesus, we're going to miss the mark. As it's been said before, the disciple didn't only seek to know what the teacher knew, which is usually the case today. It was not enough just to know what the rabbi said, but the foremost goal of any disciple was to become like the rabbi and do what the rabbi did. So, the question that we have to ask ourselves is this: what's it mean for me to be a disciple of Jesus in the 2020s? What does it mean for me to follow Jesus? What does it mean to answer Jesus' call to come and follow? To follow Jesus is to live like Jesus. To follow Jesus is to live like Jesus. To be a disciple of Jesus, we learn to live like Jesus. We don't just learn about Jesus, we learn to live like Jesus. We don't just learn about the things Jesus did, we attempt to do those types of things ourselves. To follow Jesus is to live like Jesus.